Hey everyone, it's Jeff Keighley, and welcome to a special Summer Game Fest stream. It is very early in the morning here in Los Angeles, but I'm very happy to welcome two special guests to Summer Game Fest, Hideo Kojima and Yoji Shinkawa from Kojima Productions. I'm so honored to have you guys with us for this new Summer Game Fest project. Thank you for your support.
Good to see you. Hi, Jeff.
I first of all just want to ask how you guys are doing. It looks like you're in the KJP office now. The pandemic has affected all of us in different ways. But how are things right now in Tokyo? Is it better, or are you okay now?
はい、ちょっと前に、緊急事態宣言が解除されたんですけど、現状東京の方では毎日感染者が増えているようで、非常に心配な感じです。
Well, in Japan, the state of emergency was lifted a while ago, but actually right now in Tokyo, the number of infected people has been increasing, so we're a little worried right now.
でコジプロの方はテレワークをずっとやってまして、ただ僕は1日おきぐらいにちょっと会社来て仕事をしてます。で、来る理由はしんちゃんが1日おきに来てるので、そこで、デザインの意見交換とか監修とかしてやってます。
So Kojima Production is basically working remotely, and Yoji, well, I come to the office every other day because Yoji is there, and we kind of exchange ideas about basic, designs and things.
テレワークいいんですけど、僕ちょっと困るのはですね、一人で家でテレワークしてるとですね、作家とかですね、漫画家のようにですね、朝起きてから夜寝るまでずっと仕事してしまうんで、非常によろしくないワーカホリックになってしまうというそこが、悩みです。
So a little problem I have when working from home is just like I become almost like a workaholic because like an author or a writer or a comic book writer working from the moment you wake up until you sleep. So that's a little thing that I have a trouble right now when working from home.
Hideo, as a creative person, I wanted to sort of talk a bit about this year. I know you're often inspired by art and music and movies to kind of motivate you to keep going. And this has been a particularly, I think, challenging year for all of us emotionally. So I'm curious, in this time of the pandemic and quarantine, what art have you consumed? What sort of has comforted you and inspired you so far this year in 2020?
ですね、音楽とか読書も映画を見たりっていうのが、この時期も続けてるんですけど、中で一つ、非常にこの状況で感動したというのはこの「海の上のピアニスト」っていう映画でジョゼッペ・トルナトーレの、1998年の作品なんですけど、日本で、それの 4K 修復版とイタリア完全版が今度公開されるそうです。
Well, I've been, of course, continue watching movies and reading books, listening to music. But, the movie that I saw recently was a movie called Legend of 1900, directed by Giuseppe Tornatore. It's a 1998 movie, but I was really moved rewatching this. And in Japan, the full 4K version and the full Italian version is actually coming to the movie cinemas soon. So that's the movie.
で、これは豪華客船の中で生まれて、豪華客船の中で一生を得るっていう、ピアニストの話なんですけども、船から一歩も出ない、陸に上がらないっていう非常に孤立したピアニストのお話です。
So the story of this movie is the main character in this movie was born and dies and spends all his life on this luxury cruise ship. He's a pianist, and it's a story of this pianist that doesn't step outside the ship at all.
で船の中に孤立してるんですけど、実は船の中の船員とかお客さんとあるいは船の外の人たちともつながっているっていうそういう映画で、コロナのこの、時期にこれを見てですね、非常に共感したというか、やっぱり人はつながっていると、つながって世界とつながって生きているっていうのを非常に感じました。で感動しすぎてサントラも買ってこれでテレワークしてます。
So, in this story, the piano doesn't step outside the ship, but actually he is always connected with the people who are on the ship and the crews of the ship, and connected. And he's not too isolated and just alone on the ship, even though he doesn't step outside. So looking at watching this movie, I thought that there's no complete isolation to anyone because current days of the pandemic. Even if you're just isolated in your home, you're actually connected, to the rest of the world. And I was moved on that. And I felt strongly. And I was moved so much, I bought the soundtrack and I'm listening to this and working from home.
Okay, I didn't know you were going to have posters and soundtracks. I love it. Mr. Shinkawa, good to see you. I wanted to ask you about the PC version of the game and how you were able to improve on the PlayStation 4 release for PC. Could you maybe tell us a bit about that?
はい、PC 版はプレステ版に比べてもちろんフレームレートや、解像度も大きく向上しています、ただ一番みんながびっくりしてくれるんじゃないかなと思うのは21対9のウルトラワイドに画面が拡張されているというところだと思います、これはその横方向に情報量が増えることによってゲームへの没入感とか、臨場感ってすごく増していると思います。それとゲーム性に関しても、左右の情報量が増えたので敵の位置とか目的地とかそういったのがよりよく見えるようになって本当別のゲームをしてるんじゃないかなっていうぐらいなそんな感覚になることもあるんじゃないかなと思います。であと細かいところで言うと LOD の拡張の調整とか、UI とかあと細かな情報その辺の調整をね、細かく入れてますんで、ゲーム性の面でも、かなり良くなってるんじゃないかなと思ってます。
Yes, of course, compared with the PS4 version, the resolution and the frame rate has been upgraded. But the biggest surprise I think that people will get is like we kind of supported the 21 to 9 ultra widescreen, and this is surely expanding, the horizontal perspective to bring you dive into the game with the immersion and the presence with it. Also, when you have this horizontal perspective of a wider, you could see more enemies, and also you could kind of find where you want to go because the amount of information is actually just much more viewable. And concerning the game upgrade, yes, we kind of adjusted the parts like with LOD so that the camera kind of changes according to that. So you have a much more better play feeling. Not to mention like the UI and also we adjusted so much of the information screen. So overall, I think that we adjusted to make the gameplay feel experience much better.
Now, DS already had incredible characters and cutscenes. Out of all the sort of new features for the PC version, Mr. Shinkawa, I was wondering, is there anything that you think has had a particular impact in kind of improving the immersion or the quality of the experience?
はい、カットシーンに関してもですね、先ほどのウルトラワイドなんですけども、これ対応しています。ゲームパートだけじゃなくてカットシーンもウルトラワイドで見れるっていうことはすごく今までそのテレビドラマを見てたのが映画を見てるような映画のスクリーンを見てるような感じで、カットシーンが見れるんじゃないかなと思います。
So yeah, I touched a little bit about the ultra widescreen, but this is not just only in the game part, but this ultra wide we adjusted so that even in the cutscenes you could see it in ultra wide in the PC version. So compared to the previous one, it was I could kind of say that you were kind of watching a TV drama in the previous game, but this time in the PC version, it's more you get the impression that you're watching a movie at the cinemas.
これはですね、40ミリの映画を上下隠して70ミリにしたっていうことではなくて、40ミリのやつの両サイドをガッと広げたんで、この辺作ってなかったのが全部あってですね、この辺になんか止まった人がいたりしてですね、それも全部作り直した。結構手間がかかってるんで、そこも楽しんでほしいです。前には映ってなかったものが映ってるんで、それで再発見していただければと思います。
So if you compare like for the movie, I would kind of like to fill in like a 40 millimeter movie, and you have these black bars of the top and make it 70 millimeters, and you know it was not that kind of adjustment we made. We kind of really opened up horizontally, and tell you the truth, we weren't creating all of the details of the sides on the left and right, so we had to really recreate in order to expand it. So when you play the game, you'll see more details that we haven't really made in the previous game in the PS4 version, but we added all this part just to make the cutscene work in the full ultra wide. So I think you will kind of rediscover new things in the PC version.
Hideo, I wanted to ask you a bit of a deeper question, if that's okay. You know, many of the themes in DS have a strangely striking parallel to the unfortunate situation we're in right now in the world. Self-isolation, no contact deliveries. You know, all these themes are things that tie into that general sense of a fractured society that has to be reconnected. Many people online have drawn those parallels, and I'm curious. Your games always have a deep thought behind them and messages. You were clearly worried about this potentially happening in society. I'm sure not this soon, but I was just curious if you could maybe talk about the state of the world right now, some of the ideas in DS, and if you see the same parallels that a lot of people have picked up on in your work.
ですね、正直、新型ウイルスのこの世界的規模のパンデミックっていうのは全く想像だにしてなくて予想もしてませんでした。まあ何が起こってもおかしくないっていうことなんでしょうけども、まあよく予測してなるのかって聞かれますけど、そんなことは全然なくて、ちょっと自分でも驚いてます。
Well, this the whole worldwide pandemic that's going on with the new virus is I was never imagining that this kind of magnitude would happen. But I could just say that anything right now in the world could happen. And again, I wasn't even predicting at all about this.
これまでの作品でも、まあ、メタルギアもそうですけど、数年後にその描いた世界が現実に起こるということで、まあ、たびたびあって、お前は預言者じゃないのかと言われてますけど、そんなことはないです。預言者であれば、もっとヒットを当ててると。
Well, I've been, asked, are you a prophet? Because in my past games as well, that I've kind of had this similar experience, and people ask me if I predicted this, and I'm from prophet. But again, I like to say I'm not a prophet, because if I was, I would probably have created a game that would sell more.
デスストの企画当初はですね、アメリカヨーロッパをはじめ、分断思考が強くあって、それとネットが世界中つながっている割には個人主義というか、お互い喧嘩したりとか、お互いの距離がすごい遠くにあったっていう、そういう社会になりつつあるので、その辺への継承というのは、最初からありました。
So when I was kind of designing Death Stranding at the concept stage, in the real world, America or Europe, the world was kind of into, I see signs of like divide in the world. And even though we're all connected via internet, there was kind of a lot of thinking of individualism starting at that time. In Death Stranding, it was almost like kind of an alarm I wanted to put into the society of what's going on.
でこのコロナのことがあって、皆さん再認識したと思うんですけど、人は物理的につながっているというよりも、一人であっても孤立してても世界中の人々とつながっているっていうのを、そこをこの時期に皆さん、よく 考え直したかなというのがあって、そこが別々のテーマでもあるので、そういうことになってですね、驚いてはいますけど、その感触というかその、人と人のつながりを考えていただければと思います。
So in Death Stranding, well, people experiencing this actual situation about the pandemic, it's not about, physically you're connected or not. It's more deeper feeling with the people's connection, I guess. And with this situation of the pandemic right now, I bet that everyone kind of felt that way about, connection with other people. And actually, yes, this is one of the themes of Death Stranding. So the world today, yes, I was surprised, but it's important to think about how you connect with other people.
Well, I appreciate you connecting with us here for Summer Game Fest. I wanted to have you on at some point this summer. We're so thankful that you guys were able to do this. Speaking of another connection, let's talk about Valve. We know that there's a collaboration with Valve for the PC version of Death Stranding. I just finished my big final hours of Half-Life Alyx story with Valve and Gabe Newell. Could you maybe talk about the partnership with Valve and how that came about?
バルブさんとは非常にいい関係を続けております。最初に僕がバルブを開けに行ったのが、なんかよく覚えてない4年か5年前だったと思うんですけど、ゲイブさんと会ってお互い大の宇宙ファンっていうのを確認し合って意気投合してですね、非常に仲良くなったっていう記憶があります。
We have great relationship. I have great relationship with Valve. And when I kind of first, opened the Valve, so to say, the first encounter with Valve is that when I went to Seattle, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, and, met with Gabe. And we kind of really hit it off with each other when we knew that we have both passion to space.
で、ゲイブさんその時そんなに宇宙が好きやったらスペース X 見に行こうと、イーロン・マスクと友達やから紹介するわってで若くしとったんですけど、それは実現しておりません。
And Gabe said, since we love space so much, let's go visit SpaceX, because I know Elon Musk, and I'll contact him and let's go. But actually, I was really anticipating of really going together, but we haven't done that yet.
バルブさんは、シアトルで会うので、シアトルに行った時は必ず言うようにしてます。で、サッカーパンチもあるので、非常にいい関係を続けております。
So Valve is in Seattle, and every time I go to Seattle, I try to kind of visit them as well. And also, there's the studio, Soccer Punch there. So when I go to Seattle, I go visit them. And, with Valve, I have, very good relationship ever since.
ハーフライフの件なんですけど、すごく初期の時代ですね。実験をしている時から実はこれ時期言えないんですけど、時期言うと怒られると思うので、すごい昔からですね、何度も、実機で、その段階を見せていただいてプレイさせていただいて、チーム員の方ともディレクターの方とも、何回か意見交換みたいなゲームについてのそういうのを思ったこともあります。
Yeah, of course I can't really explain the details because it's a secret, but I've been seeing, Half-Life from the very early stages, and they let me play the game as well and see the game in its initial stages from, quite a while ago. And I met with the directors and the team members and also exchange, about the game.
で今回のコラボレーションはそういうことなんで非常に自然な流れで、どちらから言い出すともなく、決まったというかそういう感じです。だからバルブさんとは非常に長い深い付き合いをしております。つながっているという感じですね。バルブは開いたまま。はい。
So, with that kind of relationship that I have with Valve, it wasn't talking about the collaboration. It wasn't about, let's do this, or it was kind of really naturally came to be because we have this great, relationship with them, and we still do. And I must say the valve is still open and we're connected.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, guys. The PC version of DS is out this week. We are going to look at the launch trailer, show a first look at the launch trailer for the PC version here in just a second. But thank you so much, Hideo Kojima, Yoji Shinkawa. I'm honored to have you a part of Summer Game Fest. I wouldn't want to do it any other way, so it's so good to see you guys. I miss you and seeing you in person, but hopefully that will happen again soon, and I wish you and everyone at KJP great health and success moving forward. Hideo Kojima, Yoji Shinkawa, again, thank you guys so much for joining us from Tokyo.
Thank you.
All right, and before we go, as I mentioned, we're going to take a first look at the launch trailer for the PC version of Death Stranding. Enjoy it.
Remember, Sam, every parcel is a promise made to a person in need. And they're counting on you to deliver.
You have to break some dies to forge others. Can't be tied to everything. I know you love her. You love her. There.